Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Entrepreneurial Truth Podcast. My guest today is Michele DeLima, and she helps ambitious entrepreneurs translate their genius into written marketing messages that attract ideal clients that they love so they can grow their business and create the powerful impact they desire. Before launching Right Transformation in 2010, she was a senior portfolio manager at top international banks, helping startups to Fortune 500 multinationals tell their story and secure the millions that they need to grow and thrive. Michele earned her master's in finance from Boston College and feeds her learning addiction via world-class marketing experts. She also devours an ever-replenishing pile of books, and I'd like to know how she keeps replenishing them. Anyway, she loves hiking with her daughter and adores flying through the world astride her trusty bike. Welcome to the show, Michele.
Jim, thank you so much. It's awesome being here with you.
It's really fun. We've had a good time. We've tried to do this a few times now, just so everybody knows. And sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. Hold on, I got to take the glasses off because these drive me crazy. All right, there we go. All right. My first question to you is, what made you want to become an entrepreneur? Like, what lit the fire for you?
Well, it was unexpected. I was in the corporate world for many years. I was in corporate banking for 16 years. And then one day back in 2004, we got the news that our bank was being taken over by another bank. But we still had like 4 or 5 months before our group of like 40 people were going to be let go. And so I started doing some serious thinking. I'm like, I don't know that I want to be in banking anymore. It's a crazy world. And there's no safety. Things are always being restructured, reorganized. And then I started to look around and I discovered this thing called copywriting. And I'm like, oh my God, this sounds incredible because it's all the best things I love about banking, which is like the deep trusting relationships with the clients. It's digging my fingers deep into their world and really researching who they are, what's going on, their values, their clients, their history, their future. And it's writing. And I'm like, oh my God, this is what I could do all day long and really love it without all the banking gobbledygook, and then just have my own clients. So that's what I did. I ended up working with a marketing guru. I learned the trade secrets of copywriting and I hung out my shingle.
That's awesome. That is so awesome. I usually ask this question. That's my next one. What roadblocks or things in your internal or external kind of got in your way along that journey when you were kind of going away from the banking world and going into the entrepreneurial world? What were some of the things that kind of held you back, either yourself or outside things?
Oh, for sure. I think one of the trickiest parts was going from a place where everything was done for you in the corporate world. It's like you just have to know the right number to call tech help. The clients always came to you. There's not an issue about that. You had all kinds of support staff, to going to just a single freelancer and having to do everything, wear every single hat. And it just kind of got crazy. And I'd say probably the biggest thing that I've really had to ramp up on, though, is finding clients and being able to generate clients on a regular basis. And it's, a big part of that is evolving your own message and then your own skill set in so mmany ways to support that.
Yeah, that makes total sense to me. It also is a little bit of how much you believe in yourself too. I think that's, at least for me, that's been part of my journey, has been believing that I could do it outside of, the 9-to-5 job or well, in my case, 7 to 3:30, but hey, whatever, and picturing yourself doing something other than what you feel comfortable with.
Yes, exactly. And that mindset shift it's everything. It's the foundation to everything. And, without it, it's really hard to, believe that you can do it, except you just keep throwing yourself at it and keep doing it. But even still, all that can just be like a waste of energy if you're not really truly looking inside at what your strengths are and believing in that, and then also believing that you can get the skills to start, leveling up in order to make up for those gaps, those things that you're learning, and to keep having momentum, and to keep putting yourself out there and believing that you can do it and you can make progress, and things will just start clicking into place for you.
Yes, definitely. I think that, yeah, it's a lot internal too, I think, but I want to get into you're working as a banker or something like that. So I've got to get that right. Okay. So you were in the corporate world, and then you found copy. How did that happen? How did you find copywriting from banking? Because it sounds like two different things, maybe. I mean, it might be me.
Oh, they are. Yeah. So I didn't even know what copywriting was. All right. So what happened was, so we got the word about, we're being bought out. Then the new boss kicks me out of my office. And then I end up in sort of like this double cubicle with two spaces that are empty, like way around in a whole nother area of the floor, like at the private banking people. Like all, a bunch of people were on vacation. I was alone over there. So I'm like, and I had all my work done. So I'm like, screw this. So I start doing all this research online. There's three things I wanted to do. I wanted to shop the J. Jill clearance sales. I was on eBay all the time because I was desperate with longing for an antique sterling silver flatware set that I could just use every day, because it's just something I wanted. And the third thing was to find a new career possibility for myself. And I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden, I just started, as I was looking and researching, this copywriting thing came up. And then I was looking into it. And then I found this woman, Marcia Yudkin, and she offered this 10-week program to become a copywriter. And I'm like, okay. So it was a correspondence course. And it was great. And she was just amazing. I mean, she's been published in all the big papers and magazines, and she's been doing this for 40 years, and she was in Massachusetts too, and she's just this lovely person. So she just rewired my brain into this realm. So that's how that came to be, because quite honestly, when you're in the corporate world in banking, what I was doing, they have internal people to do all that kind of writing. So just copywriting was never something that just came across my radar until just doing that research. And I just feel like somehow the stars lined up for me, and I just happened upon it.
That's, yeah, that does happen to all of us. Trust me. There's some things that just keep falling in your lap, and you're like, oh, well, I can do this. This is pretty cool. So I fell into a few of those things as well. And, to find your passion outside of, outside of a job that, it's a job, it's not necessarily yours. It's not a legacy you can hand down. Those type of things, they really matter in life. I was going to go into a little bit about the process. So if I know that for me, I'm okay with words. I'm not wonderful with the whole sales copy thing. I'm not real great at that either. A lot of times people just can't articulate their message. And I believe that there's just a ton of people like that. So when someone comes to you, I want to go through this a little bit, where if they come to you, how do you get that message out of them? Magic. I just put a spell on them, and then, no, I'm kidding.
Yes, the truth serum. Well,
Wonder Woman's lasso. That's what it is.
Exactly. Well, it's something like that. Well, no, I think it's all about having a conversation. And yes, I start with, and I've done this so many times, and even in banking, because I had to do really the same thing. I had to dig, but I was digging from a place of love and curiosity and empathy. And I think that's what's so critical for doing this work. It's like you really want to and I say this all the time, I want to get inside your head. We need to do the download. I need to be in your space, in your world, so I can understand who you are. But it's done with such kindness and fun and curiosity. So we really start exploring some things. And so usually what happens is like when I start onboarding a new client, I'll send them a questionnaire, and they're probably thinking like, oh my God, there's so many questions. But we're talking about like who they are, what are the gifts and strengths and talents and their things that they love about the work that they do? Who are their ideal clients and their pain points and their challenges and their deep desires? What are the things that they say? What are the things that they're going through? What are the things that they are keeping them up at night right now? And what are they talking about? What's happening in their world? And then we look at their offerings. And how do those bridge the gap between where their clients are now to where they want to be? And we really dig deeply into those benefits. And so by virtue of filling out this questionnaire, this is kind of just like the first layer. And it starts to just get them on the same page and get them onto a place of where they're starting to find clarity, because oftentimes they haven't really thought about these things in a very deep way, or they have, but it's all in like thought bubbles up here versus like getting it really super organized. So just by doing this process, they start to get their thoughts aligned and organized. And so then we come in and together, and then we have like this conversation for like, usually it's a couple of hours, sometimes it's been much longer. And then we use those answers that they provided as a platform to dig in even deeper. And then it's just like all these things, it's just like having a conversation, like a really wonderful conversation that just takes on a life of its own. And then even more clarity comes from it. And then these new ideas start coming from it. And then they start seeing sort of like the whys and the wherefores in a deeper and juicier level with our conversation, so that we're really digging in very deeply. And then we start capturing those words and those ideas that are most fruitful and enticing and compelling for the copy that we're creating.
Mm-hmm. So you send me a questionnaire, and guess what? I have no idea.
It's okay.
I mean, no, I'm playing kind of.
Absolutely. No, absolutely.
But this could actually happen for me. It really could. So saying, what's this and what's that? And what if I don't know? What if I honestly can't put it into words, or I don't even know. I don't know who my audience is. I don't, those type of things. What if I'm super dumb? I mean, okay. How do you get that, them to realize who their customer is and what their message is when they don't know themselves?
Okay, that's a really, really great question. And I have a couple of thoughts for you about that. One is, I always tell people, just write in bullets. I don't care about grammar. All I want is brain dump with whatever you have. I'm not trying to get them to write anything other than just like, blah. Just dump it all out. Whatever you do know, that's all I need. We can run from there. I want to completely absolve them for trying to figure this out on their own. That's not their job. That's my job. And then just allow them just to trust the process. It's okay. Just the baby steps. And so like if I would say to you, it's okay. Whatever you do feel and whatever you do know, just put that down. That's all I want. That's all I'm expecting. We'll run from there. I would suggest though that, and this is like really important, for someone to be ready for a copywriter, it's an important investment for your business, and you want to be ready. So for somebody who doesn't really know who their audience is yet, they're not really sure what they're offering yet, they haven't put those kinds of thoughts together, a copywriter is probably not the best next step for them. Because I think instead, what would be more productive for them is to just go out and test things, try things on for size, just get in action and start reaching out to people, doing some research, do some surveys, do some interviews, find out what people want, gather up the ideas, and start to figure out for yourself what's best for you and who you want to be, how you want to show up, and who you want to serve. And there's coaches that even specialize in that. And then when you're clear, and when I say to people, as long as you're in the ballpark, and I would say this holds true for any copywriter, as long as you're in the ballpark of who you want to serve, why you love serving them, how you help them, what's the transformation or the gifts that you bring, how do you help them get from their place of pain or challenge or whatever it is to the place of their desire and achievement. As long as you know those things and you have an offer that or something that you're working with that you know that works, then a copywriter is the right next step, because then you're working with somebody who can take what you have and then help you run. But if you're not even in the ballpark, it's really not a good place to start investing in your message, because I think you really need to figure out like who your audience is and how you're serving first.
That makes total sense. It really does. To be honest, I didn't know, if that was something that you tried to help people with to get to that place, or you want the people to have a little more clarity at first. That makes sense. That makes perfect sense. How long is the process from the initial, I know it probably is different for everybody, but the initial, they get the survey and then, they fill it out, give it to you. So how long is the process of coming up with their message and their copy and things like that?
Okay, and you're right. It does vary. The people, and actually I just experienced this with a couple of clients just in the last couple of weeks. They were so super clear about their message, we even skipped the questionnaire. One woman, unfortunately the event was canceled, but she was going to be presenting to this amazing event. The event has just been postponed, and she wanted help with just like a 4-minute, mini talk. And she also wanted to do a quick refresh on her website. We spent probably 2 hours on the phone, and then I just like ran with it, and it was done. It was done within a week. But she was like really clear. And so that was such a gift, for her and for me. And it was just so much fun because she was so on it. I could be right on it. It was just like done, bam. Other people, and I have worked with people who are much less clear, and that does take a lot more time. And I find, unfortunately, and this is why I tend to work more with people who are like really clear, is because if you're not, and there's too much hesitation, like, I'm not sure if this is what I want to do. I'm not sure if this is my audience. And then it doesn't quite feel like, well, this is my message and I absolutely love it, but I'm not sure this is what I even want to do. And it's like, whoa, it's just not helpful for either person. But if it's somebody who is, they're quite clear on all those things that we talked about, and say they want to do a website, like a complete rebranding on their website, I would say within the course of, maybe 3 to 4 weeks, we could get it done. But it's a little bit of an evolution as we tackle, like, say, the homepage first or the bio first, and then we just build on that. We want to just get that foundation and then build from there. And like, once we get that first page done and they're like, yes, this is the right direction, I'm feeling good about this, then it's like, oh yeah, now we can just build. And the next pages just fall into place. Boom, boom, boom.
That sounds really, really good, actually. The other thing was, I was going to ask you, do you do the writing or do you coach them how to do the writing?
Aha, I do both. So, yes, so it depends on the person. Some people are like, I have no time and I have so much going on. I just want you to do this for me. And I'm like, Yahoo, I love doing that. And so that's what we do. And then other people, yes, I've had a program that I've taken people through and I coach them on it so that they can learn for themselves and become powerful writers of their own message. And either way, I love it. I mean, they both work. It just really depends on where people are in their business and what they prefer for themselves.
Okay. So what types of things do you write? And you were saying website copy. What else do you write? Is that at sales pages maybe, or landing pages, or is there any other things that you do copy for?
Yeah, so all those things I do. Email, so nurturing sequences, onboarding sequences, launch sequences. Then, of course, then there's bios, could be like a short bio, like a teeny weeny media bio, to like, a super long story of even one client I was working with. I even helped her by ghostwriting her book for her. I was very heavily involved in a lot of the other things that we were doing, so it was just a natural progression. And yeah, pretty much, marketing content. I've also done, content like for programs and things of that nature. I just, the other thing is, and one of the things that I appreciate from my banking career is we were thrown one industry after another. It could be like anything would land on your plate and you had to cut up to speed. And so it's like, and you're always juggling, like, 3 to 5 or more, like completely different industries, completely different companies, and just getting up to speed on that. And I love it. And it's so now I still have this love and fascination, for being able to jump into almost anything. And yeah, so I do love it.
Do you have to kind of learn that person to write the way they do, or in their voice per se?
Yeah. So that's why I love Zoom, because we do all the Zoom recordings, we do all the interviews and the discussions on Zoom. And you can believe, as I'm writing and creating this, or if I'm coaching somebody, it's like, I look at, I review those Zoom recordings, and it's just part of who I am. I just take a million notes, because it's just somehow there's like this head, through the arm, through the hand to the paper thing, that it's just like somehow it imprints it on me. But then as I'm writing, I will go back and I'll re-listen to the Zoom recordings, and making sure that I'm incorporating and layering in as many of their words, their phrases, their speech patterns as possible, because you're absolutely right. It has to sound like them.
Yeah. Do you find yourself like looking at other websites and stuff and kind of judging how their copy is?
Well, it's funny. I do have like this corral or stable of websites that I actually refer to again and again for inspiration,
Mm,
because they're so
okay.
beautifully done, and I'm so excited by what they've created. And also I know that these people are like top of the industry. And I also know that they've probably, invested $50,000 to $100,000 in their website. So you can be sure, like, these are like absolutely, state of the art and what's good. So I just use those as inspiration. And then otherwise, like, I've seen so many clients' websites, and they're all over the place. They really are. And that's the thing, is like, often when they come to me, it's because they have website shame, or, for a lot of different reasons. Either it's just tired, they've outgrown what their message is. It never really made them happy to begin with. They just never felt like it really quite embodied who they are and their energy and their passion. Maybe they've had a new direction, and maybe all of those things combined.
Mm. Yeah, that's cool. I was also thinking that when you what are the common mistakes that people make when they try to do it themselves? What do you see as kind of the major things that people do wrong when they try to do their own copywriting?
Okay, so there are a few pitfalls. One is, and I think it's all that training that we got in high school and college, and all those, slaps on the wrist from teachers and professors saying, no, you can't write like that. You have to like write in this format, in this framework, and no coloring outside the box. And so people tend to write in a very formal or very constrained way, versus really writing the way they talk and the
Mm,
way they think.
mm.
And
In
when you
other words,
think about,
boring writing. In other words, they're doing boring writing, and and they're not showing their personality off.
exactly, and it's just, there's a disconnect. Because think about it this way, and I want to get back to that in 2 seconds, but just think about it this way. If you meet somebody like at a networking event or on a Zoom call or whatever, and they're just like, really full of life and energy, and they're really excited, and then you go read something, and then it's like, just like, like in the Snoopy cartoons. It's like there's a disconnect there, versus like, now imagine if somebody, comes to your website or something else, like a sales page, and they can sense you, and they sense that energy and passion in the same way, and it's like, oh my God, it's just like, this person is really talking to me. The important thing is too, is when people meet you for the first time online, because they're looking at your website or they're looking at a sales page, if you're writing in a way that's disconnected to who you really are, people are going to get the wrong first impression.
Mm.
And you only have those precious 3 to 5 seconds max to draw somebody in. That first second or so is all about the image and, people's just eyes and their brains and their subconscious mind. It's like, oh, what is this image? How do I feel like seeing this? Like, like the colors, the design, the image, but that's only about a second. And then those next 2 to 4 seconds that you've got with somebody, it's all about what the message is. And how do you draw somebody in? And like, what kind of energy are you projecting through the words that you share? How are you making somebody feel as they're reading that message? And do they feel drawn to the words that you're saying? And if so, they'll keep reading. The whole purpose of writing anything is to get them to read the next line and eventually get them to the cool part about like, hey, here's what to do next to get more of me. But if you're writing in a way that's really restricted or limited, it's not really you, then they might get turned off and they'll just click away. And that only takes a moment for someone to say, not for me, I'm out of here. So that's why it's one of the best gifts that you can give to yourself is to really practice writing the way you speak. And that might not be so easy. So one of the things I often advise people to do is, instead of just like trying to struggle like with writing, like, oh my God, I don't know how to do this, like talk it out, talk it like in a video, grab a transcript, or then do it and then write it down and then hone it and then edit it, but allow your natural speaking voice to shine through.
You could do like even Google Docs as a thing where you can have the microphone and just go ahead and talk and it writes it out. It doesn't do it well, but at least there's something down there from what you're talking about. Yeah, that's weird because we do get taught from high school, college, and all the writing that we learn that, you're not supposed to write like we talk. You're not supposed to say, hey, yo, what's up? Or something like that. Or, if that's your personality or that's who you are,
Yeah, but imagine like when you're, and this is like my favorite analogies. Imagine reading a book. What are the books that you love the most and that you remember? And it's like the characters like become lifelong friends. And it's because they jump off the page with how they speak and they just become like these real people. They're so full of energy. And you can recreate that in everything that you do for your marketing copy. And then you become somebody real with tons of personality and presence through the written word, just as much as who you are in person. And it's not like you're trying to be something that you're not, and trying to, infuse even like more like, say, crazy ass energy into what you're writing. If that's not who you are, it's like, no, you don't want to do that either. It's just like, just allow yourself and what you naturally say and how you naturally speak to shine through, because that's what starts to help you distinguish yourself from everybody else out there as a living, breathing person, through what you're writing.
How much yourself do you think is allowed? Okay, so I'm talking about like cursing or, saying things that might not be popular, I guess. If that's part of their personality, do you include it or are you careful with it?
I think you have to be, what's the word?
Cautious?
It's on the tip of my, yeah, there's another word and it will come to me in just a minute, but okay. Yes, I think, yes, diplomatic, or that's not even quite the word, somewhere between cautious and diplomatic. You want to, there's a place for everything. So like, for instance, your website, yes, you do want to show up who you are, who you really are. And if you're somebody who says, let's be a badass, you're a badass, then go for it. That's who you are. And if you want to attract other people who like really resonate with that, go for it. And there's nothing wrong with that. If, and then sometimes people also, like some people really love to go on rants. Maybe your website isn't the right place for that, but guess what? You could have through your social media, on your Facebook page or your YouTube channel or whatever, you could do rants on that. And then there's a place for everything. You do want to show up authentically, but you're right. I think a pinch of caution is in order, and not because you want to hold back and, be different than who you are, but I just think people are getting to know you for the very first time. So you just, and then there's sort of like a bell curve, like for everything. And you want like that main bell curve, part of the bell, to really resonate with the ideal clients that you have. And then, yes, there's going to be other people sort of on either end who are also going to resonate with what you're offering and who you are. But I would say, if just be polite. There's that. I think everybody pretty much has the right moral compass. If it's something that you would regret sending in an email to your boss, say, you can imagine that, you might not want to say it. Or if you regret saying it to your mother, you might not want to say it. But, but within reason, as you show up, like with your friends and your family and your ideal clients, that's who you can portray. That's what I would advise.
That's good. It wouldn't work for me. My mom's pretty open-minded, so no, I'm just kidding.
That's good.
You got to have a little fun. I think that's something that we should include into our copy, is our fun side, our side that's a little silly sometimes. Is that okay too, or how do you deal with that?
God, yes. Like, I love being cheeky. And so I like that show. I just have fun with it. One of my, as I call her, she's like my mentor, goddess, guru, Laura Belgray, is like one of the most amazing copywriters ever. And she is so freaking cheeky. She is funny as all get out, and she just lets it rip. And she's just like, that's who she really is. She's like one of my role models that I was referring to earlier. But that's who she is. And then I have others who are, much more, who are, they're just different. It's just different personalities.
Reserved,
and, a little bit more reserved, a little bit more chill, a little bit, and then some people are kind of like way more woo-woo. Some people are more serious. It's all good. It's just who you are. That's all that really matters. It's just allowing your words to really show.
So it's being your authentic self is really what you're talking about in your copy, in your everyday life, in your website, in your videos, everything. I agree with that. I agree with that 100%. So say you have somebody out there and this is their first time, they know who they want to serve. They have their website kind of, but not really. They know what their message is. What do you say to that person?
So is this a person like they're ready to do a website, or just like, really up level their website?
They're ready to launch themselves into the world. And this is their first time. They just started because, we all got to start, or we all started somewhere. And if you have that kind of a person, just a piece of advice for that person is basically what I was asking.
Yeah, I would just say, go for it. Trust your instincts. Test it out a little bit on people who could potentially be your ideal clients. Just, maybe just take a poll just to make sure that everything is clear, all systems are go, and then just let it go. And trust that iteration, taking imperfect action, is the way to go. You don't have to get it all right away. And that's the thing about creating your message, is that it's an evolutionary process. And because you're always going to be evolving, especially if you're just launching yourself into the world, you're going to be growing so freaking fast over the next several months. I feel like you're really, really committed to getting yourself out there. So just know that as you do that, and as you're discovering more and more about yourself, and more about your ideal clients and what they want and what they're responding to, that you're offering and how they're responding to that, your message is going to evolve to rise up to meet that. And so just don't worry about it being perfect, as long as it's clear. And the other thing is making sure that it's really oriented to your ideal clients. What's important to them? Why should it matter to them? What's in it? It's the old questions like, what's in it for me and why should I care? So if everything that you're writing, you always have that in the back of your mind. And I would even suggest like having like a little sign posted like right above your laptop or wherever you're working, like what's in it for me and why should I care? So that everything that you're writing is always answering those questions from your ideal audience's perspective. That will really help guide you to ensuring that what you're writing about is really all about them. And one of the the other metaphors that I really love is thinking about it this way. Imagine if like you're having a party at your house and you're inviting some friends over, and then one of your friends invited another friend, they're showing up for their first time, and they come to your house and they're kind of teetering on the threshold, and they're like, am I in the right place? And then you open the door and it's like, what are you going to say to them? Are you going to say like, you're like, hey, I'm like the hottest party animal around, you came to the right place, dude. Or, it'd be like, oh my God, I'm out of here. This person's crazy. Or are you going to say like, oh my God, I'm so glad you're here. Thank you so much for coming. Yeah, we got, something to eat and drink. So like, hey, come in, help yourself, and let me show you around. So it's like the difference between, being, sort of like, beating your own chest about how awesome you are, or is it all about making somebody super comfortable that they've arrived in the right place and they feel like, oh yeah, I want to come in and I want to explore more and I want to be here and I want to hang out with you. So that's why benefits and talking about all that you do from the viewpoint of what's in it for your ideal clients is so important, so that they feel like they feel understood and appreciated and that you really care about them. So it's yes, showing up with your authentic voice, but it's also showing up in full appreciation and curiosity and empathy and kindness for the person that's showing up in your world, so that as soon as they enter your world, which is your website or your sales page, they feel like, oh, wow, she really gets me. He gets me. He understands me. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's how I feel about stuff. Oh my God, it's like they know me so well. It's like they're inside my head. Like, how did they get there? And it's that sort of a thing that helps people to trust and come along, and then, listen to what you want to say, what you want to share with them.
That's a really good answer. So, a lot of people they don't like sales. Okay. So they feel kind of slimy, like a used car salesman type of thing, or, they have just a hard time with even the thought of selling or being a salesperson. I know in the entrepreneurial journey, we're supposed to be like, yeah, cool. I want to sell, 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 sell. But there's people that don't feel that way. There's people that are very confined by that whole thing on the inside. Have you ever come across that, number one? And if you have, how did you deal with it?
Yeah, a lot of people talk about that. And, I used to, several years ago, that used to trip me up sometimes. Like it'd be so painful that like my daughter would be like, are you okay? I'm like, oh my God. But one of the things that I've really come to realize, and absolutely I've worked with some amazing mentors about this, and I've gotten to a place where now I don't think of it so much as sales as, and this there's an alignment with writing I want to make in just a moment, but it's not so much sales, really. If you're in a conversation with somebody and they have a need, they have a problem, an issue, a challenge, something that needs solving, simply having a conversation with them from a place of absolute kindness, curiosity, empathy, and love to help them get clarity around what that issue is, and then to simply explore ways to help them solve it. And if that means working with you, that's awesome. If it means that they're not ready, it's okay, they're not ready. And that's kind of where I am now. It's like, sometimes, and the people I love working with most are people who are just like, oh my God, I just want to work with you. And it's just like, and I want to work with you. And it's just like, like all the stars line up and it's super easy. And it's just like everything flies. And then the work we do together just completely flies. But if a person is in a place of, anxiety and angst about like money, or can I do this? I don't have the time. To me, those are all red flags that they're just not ready. And yes, I know there's something about, and it's true, like you have to be able to express the value that you bring to the table for them to understand it thoroughly so that they can make an informed decision. But that's why, for me personally, I end up having, some conversations that go kind of deep to help see, like, are we aligned, and does that help the person, and can they see the value I bring through our conversation? And if that's true, then I know, like, all the gates are flying open, and then it's a good place to go. But if they're not opening, I would suggest a couple of things. One is, make sure that you're expressing the value that you bring so that people really understand it. And then if you're certain about that, and if you show up in a sales conversation from a place of that, like that love and that empathy and that caring, and just like the curiosity, like, where can this go? I think then that can really help them open their mind to what's possible for them. And then I think either the person's going to be ready or that they're not. I think the whole reason why sales can get this rap about being slimy is because a lot of times people are taught, like, oh, how to override objections. And I think there's, to do that to some extent, again, from a place of love, but, to help them maybe look at things through a new perspective. But I think the last thing that I know I would want to do, or I would advise my clients to do, is to drag people, and to sort of just like, push them into something that maybe they're not ready for, because then guess what? On the other side, once they're your client, you might be pushing and pulling them the whole time that you're working together. And sometimes people disappear. And so I'm not sure that you would really want to have that kind of a situation. And so I think it's the same way with your writing. And I think it all starts with the message that you're creating. And I really believe that from the get-go, when people are reading your message, I believe that you can position yourself and what you're offering and who it's ideal for right from those very first moments, so that people feel like, oh, yes, this is really speaking to me, to help filter in the right people and filter out the wrong people. So that when you are on those sales calls, that you've done your best to filter in the right people to talk to begin with.
That makes perfect sense. And to the point of when someone's not ready, if you push them into it, it just goes bad. It generally always goes bad, because that person is going to want to run, and I've found that if you have people that really want to do something, they have that desire and they are ready, then it's magic. I mean, you can work with them very easily.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have people that aren't ready, it's like standing on a table trying to pull someone up. It really is. It is. It's a hard thing. And sometimes those people get it. Sometimes those people, come around. But most of the time, from my experience, they don't.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the ones you lose. And then it creates maybe sometimes a bad experience or something like that. So you do have to be careful. You do have to allow someone to not be ready, which is difficult when we're in sales.
Yeah. And I guess, and it's like, are you willing to just show up and be unattached to the outcome, as far as, do you get a sale or not, versus just showing up and being attached to being of service, and then just seeing where it goes, and just fully showing up and offering all that you can, without not trying to solve their problem, but just, let's get clarity around what's happening and what they would like.
Yeah, because a lot of times if you don't ever want to go into a situation where you're desperate for a sale or whatever, or you really, you need it so bad that, you know what I mean? Even if you are in that spot, don't feel that, because you'll either get the wrong people or you'll get no people. It just seems like when you're desperate for something, it always seems to backfire.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think about that? I mean, what's been your experience with that? When you feel like, the bills are coming due and I really need to get some money coming in, that type of feeling, and you're kind of up against the wall.
Yeah.
You still can't change that mindset.
100% agree. It really is. And I've been there. So many people have been in that situation, and it's hard. And the thing is, it doesn't do you any good. So it's like, it's your choice. I mean, it's like a choice that you have in any situation, whether it's like what we're dealing with right now, like with the coronavirus, or it's, your own whatever's happening in your world, how do you want to look at the world, in a positive way or a negative way? And going down the rabbit hole of worry and anxiety, that kind of energy, I believe, without getting too woo-woo, I really believe that people pick up on it. And I think it's a turnoff. And I think it kind of scares people, and it's subconscious, or maybe it's fully conscious, depending on how you show up. But it's just, but I think people do pick up on it. And so what's the point of going down there? Whereas even though it might be hard, but if you do choose the path of just, again, just showing up with just curiosity, a sense of fun, adventure, exploration, positivity, just simply getting to know somebody, having a great conversation, and really kind of getting to, to talk about all these really juicy things and possibilities. I mean, how much fun is that? And that's the thing that I've really learned over the years, is that the more fun you can have with somebody in a conversation, and see if you're kindred spirits and you're aligned and your thinking is aligned, I think you're serving yourself and you're serving them at such a much higher level. And I think you're totally amplifying the opportunity and the odds that you are going to end up with the client. Because if you're comfortable and you're just like showing up like really excited and happy, they're just going to feed off that energy of who you're being. And the other thing is, I think it's from the very moment somebody is in your presence, whether it's your written presence or your physical presence, like on Zoom or whatever, they'll know how they feel being with you. And it's like, do I want more of that? Do I want to be in that energy? Do I want to be with this person? Do I love what they're saying? Do I love my conversation with them? Do I want more of that? It's like, oh my God, I don't want to not have more conversation with them. And so why not just have fun with it? Just decide, before any sales conversation, I think my number one goal is just to have fun and get to know this person, and then see where it goes. Yes, follow, the pathway for a good sales conversation, all those best practices, absolutely. But just have fun with it, I think. And I believe you're just gonna kind of come out on the other end having much better results for everyone.
It makes so much sense. It really does. How do people get a hold of you? And do you do a pre-call, or how do you get clients? Or how does your system work?
Oh, yeah. So, so people are welcome to, at any time, sign up for a chat with me. And that's what I love doing, is I like to have kind of a pre-chat first, just to kind of see what's going on in the situation, and then and meet them and understand them a little better. And then if it's let's talk more, then we'll get on another call. Oftentimes what can happen during those first calls is they'll lay out a project, and this is what I'm trying to do. And I'm like, great, let's talk about that. Let me just do a little figuring, and then let's hop back on Zoom, and then we'll really kind of go through it, and this is how this can work. And then we run from there. Sometimes it depends. It depends on how ready that person is and how clear they are. And if it's all the stars are lined up, it's like, oh my God, I want to work with you now. Even sometimes on the first conversation, it just really depends. And it's all good. It's all good. It just depends on where that person is. But I just want them to be really comfortable and just feel like, yes, this is a great match. And I just want to feel happy and comfortable and really excited, and yeah, let's go.
Yeah, that sounds really, really good. Do you have a website, or do you have a way for people to get a hold of you?
I do. Thank you, Jim. Yes, my website is Write Transformation. So that's WRITE transformation.com. And people can email me at Michele with one L, so MICHELE @writetransformation.com.
It sounds good. Anything that you want to tell potential clients out there, or people that you might want to work with, about you?
I love holding up a mirror to people's magic. I think people, they just sense it, you know, they have this magic inside them. They sense this power and their ability to just really transform and make a difference to their clients and to the world and how they want to reach out into the world. But, you know, it's not easy getting that in writing. And that's where I come in, because I love writing more than anything. I live and breathe it. That's who I think of myself. I don't know who I'd be if I wasn't writing. And so I just love being able to empower people to create that for themselves and to be able to express themselves through the written word, because so much of business has to do with expressing yourself through the written word. And so why not just do it with more fun, power, be compelling, and attract more clients that you love?
Yeah, it really is. So everybody out there, if you want to, if you're struggling with your message, or you're not converting sales as well as you would like, and you just don't know what's wrong, you know, you can have a conversation with Michele, and she can try to help you out there. It can lend you some of that energy that she has that I need. Anyway, it's been a wonderful conversation. I really appreciate you coming on and everything today.
Jim, thank you so much. It's been so much fun getting to know you, and I really appreciate this opportunity to be with you and with your audience today. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Okay, everybody, you can hit the like thing or the thumbs up deal or the subscription deal and all that stuff and everything YouTube tells me they want me to tell you. You can tell I care a whole lot about what they want me to tell. I'm just kidding. Anyways, folks, I appreciate you joining us. It was a wonderful show. We got a little bit of a deep dive into the world of copywriting, and I really appreciate you. You have a wonderful day.